a bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see from up here. The world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful.
Hey, how's everybody doing? I've been getting a lot of questions about how I make my state-shaped flags. There's a little bit of confusion about how to get everything to, be deleted and laid out properly. So we're just going to go over a couple of those today. Let's start with the state of Texas. I've went and found a few free SVGs online. I'm going to put links in the description to where I find those. But basically, I just go to Google and I type, Texas SVG. And usually something will come up, and usually there's a free version available. If there's not, you can just type in like Texas outline and maybe find a JPEG and then go and convert it. And I'll put the link to the website that I use to convert it also. So let's take a look at our stock. I always use 1x12s. So I've got it set up for 24 by 11 1/4 inches. Make that a little bigger so we can see it. And let's start by bringing in our outline of Texas. All right, we're going to need to make it a little bit smaller because it's bigger than our stock. So let's try 10.5. And we'll just center it height-wise. All right, now what I want to do is make a outside border here. That'll kind of smooth these edges out. We're going to use offset path, change to outside, and usually I make them around 0.1, 0.15. Let's see how 0.1 looks. All right, and that looks pretty good. That's, a good size border there. Make sure you're saving often as you're designing stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in our flag now. And we can just move this over, to wherever we think it looks good. If you want to see more of the Union, you can leave it over there. I kind of think it looks good to have it maybe about halfway. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And I like this stripe that's right under the Union to be, again, kind of halfway centered on the flag. Doesn't have to be perfect. Click Done. Now we're going to select this original outline of the state, which is the inside outline now. And we'll click Shift, or we'll hold Shift, and select this part of the flag. And we're going to use our Boolean tools, and we're going to do a subtraction. All right. Now we're just going to keep working our way down, selecting these stripes, and I'm holding Shift. We've already got the outline selected. I haven't deselected that or anything. So we hold Shift, select that stripe, and again, subtraction. Move down here, Shift, select that, subtract, Shift, select this bottom stripe, and subtract. So now what I'm left with is these little areas that we're going to machine out that have a border around them, and those are our stripes that are shaped like the state. All right, so now we got some extra stars here that we don't really need. So let's get rid of some of those. Now, there's different ways to do it. Maybe you want this border that continues and comes all the way around here. That's a lot more work when it comes to designing, because you've got to go around and, you know, delete each, do that Boolean subtraction on each individual star. But I think it actually looks best when the stars come off the edge. So when we machine them, you know, it'll kind of be doing a little bit of air machining here, but it's not a big deal. So let's save that, and let's go to Toolpath, and we'll start with our stripes. All right, we have all our stripes selected. We're going to go to Contour, and let's use a 1/8 inch, which is the same thing I use on all my flags to do the stripes. We're going to change the speeds and change the step over. So I like the step over to just be a little bit tighter than that. We'll change it to 0.04 feed rate. Let's do 40, and plunge we'll do 30. And we're going to do a pocket, so we make sure that we do everything in there. Let's label that as stripes, and I like to do them, you know, between 0.75 and 0.1. So we'll do 0.075. All right, now we need to select all of our stars. We don't want to select that border though. All right, so we have all of our stars selected, and we're going to V-carve those. So I have a 60-degree V-bit that I custom put in here. And I just leave the feeds and speeds alone on that. Say OK. Change that name to stars. All right, and now all we got to do is this outline. Again, so we'll select that outline, select contour, and I like using a 1/4 inch end mill for that. So we'll use the 201. Leave those feeds and speeds alone. We want to make sure that this is not inside. We want to do an outside. And let's put some tabs in. Tabs are just gonna, you know, keep this thing from, once it gets cut through, from going flying on us. And we'll just leave those tab heights and size in there. So that's the outline. And now we just need to change our depth. So we're using 3/4 inch material, and make sure you're measuring to see exactly how thick it actually is. But just put in 3/4 of an inch. And let's look at our simulation. All right, so you can see that we've machined our stripes. And what we have now, it might be a little difficult to see, but we have a edge left around, you know, a border left around the edge, so we can fill this with colored epoxy. I like doing, you know, thin blue and red lines and other first responder colors, and I'll just fill that up. I don't need to worry about putting tape or anything on the edge. I think it kind of looks cool. It's visually appealing to me. So, and like I said, our stars actually come right to the edge. You know, if you didn't want these little tiny stars, you could either move it over so that they weren't landing there exactly, or you could just delete them. It probably wouldn't look too bad if you did that. So the way I'll machine this is in this order. You know, I'll disable 2 of these, I'll save my stripes. Save the G code for the stripes, run that. Then do my stars, save that G code separate. And then I'll do the outline. And the reason I do that last is because obviously once you do that outline, this isn't going to be as strong. Those little tabs could break. So I just don't want to be trying to cut out areas when I only have these little tabs holding it in. So that's how I do all my flags or any state shaped or the Maltese crosses or anything like that. So that's it for the state of Texas. Let's all right. Now we've got our blank canvas again, and that's still the same size, 24 by 11.25. And let's bring in Tennessee. All right, so that image we brought in is kind of at an angle. So let's click rotate. And we'll just make it flat, which I think is actually how the state should be oriented. And we can make it a little bigger. Now, I think if we make it, let's just see, if we made it like 11 inches or 10.5 inches tall, yeah, see, that's going to end up being 42 inches long, which is way bigger, obviously, than the machine can handle. But that's going to be a really big flag. So let's try 6 inches. It's about 24. All right, so we're just gonna make our stock a little bit longer, 24.5. And we can align that right to the center of the stock. All right, so there's our outline. Now, again, we'll do an offset path. We're going to go outside 0.1, and that looks pretty good. Let's just make that stock a hair bigger and just do 25. Group those together temporarily. Align it. Now we can ungroup that. Okay, so now we're just going to bring in our flag. And okay, so it's kind of doesn't really come to the end since the state is so skinny and long. So let's make the flag a little bit bigger. Make that 25 inches long. All right. And then we'll just come up with a layout that looks pretty good. And this line here, that's going to be the one that we can fill with epoxy. I kind of like that to be centered height-wise. So I think that looks good. So let's go ahead and we'll select this border. Just like the state of Texas, we select that inside border, hold shift, select the top part of the flag, and we say subtract. And we're just going to work down, shift, select this stripe here, subtract, and really that's about all we got to do because these other stripes are completely off of our outline. So we'll just go ahead and delete those. We've got these extra stars. We will delete those. All right. And like I was talking about before, if maybe you didn't want these little tiny pieces here, we can go ahead and delete those. And it'll still probably look fine. So let's save. All right, now let's do our toolpath. We're going to do it just like we did before. So we'll select our stripes, contour. We'll do the number 102 tool, which is a 1/8 inch end mill. Just going to change our step over, 0.04, feed rate 40, plunge to 30, and we want to make sure that we have pocket selected. We'll change our depth. So on this one, let's just do 0.1, just so we can see how that looks. Maybe that looks better to you guys. All right, we'll do our stars. You just select that whole thing and then hold Shift, click that border, and it'll actually deselect it. We'll V-carve those. Select that bit that I have. So again, that's a 60-degree V-bit. And now we'll do our border. Again, contour. I'll change this to outside. Again, measure your stock, but we'll just set it to 3/4 of an inch. And we'll select the 1/4 inch end mill, which is the 201. Put some tabs on like we did before. Click OK. Change the name to outline. And let's look at our simulation. Turn that toolpath off. It's easier to see in Pine. Yeah, a little bit easier. All right, so again, we got, this stripe here. We can fill that with some colored epoxy. If you want to, I have a pretty good video, in case you haven't seen it, on how I paint and stain and use colored epoxy on my flags. So I definitely recommend watching that, because all those techniques are going to transfer over. But that's really about it that I've got for this video. I do stuff like Maltese crosses the same way. Really any design that you like the outline and you want to put a flag or any other design inside, the same techniques that we just went over are going to apply. So I hope this was helpful to some of you guys. If you have any questions, please leave a comment for me. If this helped you out, please leave a comment. And don't forget to like and subscribe. That really helps me out and know that you guys are liking the content that I'm putting out. So again, that's it for today. Thank you. I'll be seeing you guys soon.